The sun rose over the mining outpost Helios 9, casting long shadows across the metal structures. Amelia Harrison yawned as she walked toward the engineering bay. She had been on this frontier outpost for 6 months now. The work was hard, but good. At 26, she was one of the youngest engineers on the station, but she had earned her place. "Morning, Amelia," called Sam, the security guard at the entrance. "Early as usual?" Amelia smiled and waved. "Someone has to keep this place running." She swiped her badge and entered the cool interior of the engineering section. The familiar hum of machinery greeted her. This was her world: circuits, wires, and the challenge of keeping everything working far from Earth. She liked being away from her famous family. Here she was just Amelia, not the daughter of Admiral Harrison. She checked her tablet. Today she needed to fix the coolant system in Section C and run tests on the new mining drill. Simple work, but necessary. She pulled her brown hair into a ponytail and grabbed her tool belt. "Hey, Amelia, did you hear about the strange readings last night?" asked Ben, another engineer who entered the room with a cup of coffee. "What readings?" she asked, looking up from her tools. "Some weird energy spikes at the edge of our sensor range. Probably nothing, maybe a solar flare or something." Amelia frowned. "Did anyone report it?" "Yeah, but you know how slow Earth is to respond. They'll probably get back to us next week." Ben laughed. Amelia nodded, but something felt wrong. Her father had always taught her to trust her gut, and right now her gut was telling her something wasn't right. She was halfway through fixing the coolant system when the alarms blared. Red lights flashed throughout the station. "Attention, all personnel," came the station director's voice over the speakers. "This is not a drill. Unknown vessel approaching. All personnel report to emergency stations immediately." Amelia's heart raced. She dropped her tools and ran toward the main control room. As she passed a viewport, she saw it. A massive ship unlike anything humans had built. It was at least 10 times the size of the largest Earth battleship. Its dark hull gleamed in the sunlight, covered in strange markings. "What is that thing?" whispered someone beside her. The control room was chaos when she arrived. The station director, a tall woman named Kate, was trying to establish communication with the alien ship. "This is Director Kate Powell of Human Mining Outpost Helios 9. We are a peaceful operation. Please identify yourselves." There was no response, only static. "They're scanning us," reported the sensor operator. "Intense energy readings." Kate turned to Amelia. "Harrison, we need to protect the research lab. If they're hostile, we can't let them get the new drive plans." Amelia nodded. Her work on more efficient engines wasn't supposed to be important, but now it suddenly was. She ran toward the research section, her mind racing. The station had no real defenses. It was just a mining outpost with a small research facility. If the aliens were hostile, the building shook. Amelia stumbled against the wall as lights flickered. "They've locked on with some kind of beam," announced the station's AI through the speakers. "Hull breach detected in sections F through H. Unknown entities boarding the station." Amelia ran faster. The research lab was just ahead. She had to lock down the computers, destroy the prototypes if necessary. Earth couldn't afford to lose this technology. She reached the lab and slammed her hand on the security panel. The door slid open and she rushed inside. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, initiating the emergency deletion protocol. The screen flashed, "Deletion in progress, 30 seconds. Something made a sound behind her. She turned. They weren't human, not even close. Standing in the doorway were 2 tall, reptilian creatures. Their scales gleamed a dark green under the lab lights. They wore some kind of armor that seemed to shift colors to match the surroundings. Their yellow eyes fixed on her. Amelia backed away, looking for anything she could use as a weapon. The aliens raised strange devices in their 3-fingered hands. "Human, female," said one in a harsh electronic voice. "Some kind of translator. Do not resist." "Who are you? What do you want?" Amelia asked, trying to sound brave. "We are the Xeraxian hegemony. This sector is now under our control." Amelia glanced at the computer screen. 15 seconds until deletion. She just needed to stall them. "We're just miners." We're no threat to you." The taller alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species expands too quickly. You develop technologies you don't understand. The hegemony has decided to make an example of this outpost." Seconds. Amelia's hand found a heavy wrench on the workbench behind her. "There are diplomatic channels for this. Earth would be willing to talk. The time for talking is past." The alien raised its weapon. Seconds. Amelia threw the wrench with all her strength. It hit the alien's arm, causing its shot to go wide. A bright pulse of energy hit the wall beside her. She dove for the door, hoping to slip past them. A stinging pain shot through her leg as the second alien fired. Her muscles seized and she fell to the floor. The computer beeped. Deletion complete. At least she had accomplished that much. The aliens towered over her. One pressed something cold against her neck. Her vision began to blur. "Take her to the ship," she heard one say as darkness closed in. "The commander will want to question this, one personally." When Amelia woke, she was no longer on Helios 9. The room was strange, the walls curved in ways human architecture never did. The light had a greenish tint. She tried to move and found her wrists bound by some kind of energy field that glowed blue. "The human is awake," said a voice. A door she hadn't noticed slid open. A larger alien entered, different from those who had captured her. This one's scales had patterns carved into them, and it wore elaborate armor with glowing symbols. "I am Commander Krell of the Zeraxian hegemony," it said, its translator making the words sound flat and emotionless. "You will answer our questions about human military capabilities." Amelia swallowed hard. "I'm just an engineer. I don't know anything about military matters." "Lies," hissed Krell. "We detected weapons research at your outpost." "Not weapons," Amelia said. "Engine efficiency, for mining operations." Krell moved closer, its yellow eyes studying her. "It matters little. You will be questioned, and then you will be publicly tried as a spy. The hegemony needs to demonstrate the consequences of defying our authority in this sector." Amelia tried not to show fear, though her heart pounded in her chest. "There's been a mistake. Earth will look for me." The alien made that strange laughing sound again. "Let them look. By the time they find you, the trial will be over, and all human worlds will understand their place in our galaxy." What they didn't know, what Amelia herself rarely thought about, was who her father was. If the Zeraxians had any idea that they had just captured the daughter of Admiral William Harrison, architect of Earth's defense strategy, they might not be so confident. "Your species is a nuisance," Krell told her, turning to leave. "Perhaps making an example of you will teach them their place." As the door slid shut, leaving Amelia alone in the alien cell, she closed her eyes and tried to think. She needed to stay calm, stay smart, and above all, not reveal her last name for as long as possible. Because once the Zeraxians discovered who she really was, things would change, though whether for better or worse she couldn't say. News of the attack on Helios 9 reached Earth 3 days later. In the tall glass building that housed the Terran Defense Force headquarters, Admiral William Harrison stood at the window of his office. His gray hair was neatly cut, and his uniform was perfect as always. But his eyes showed worry as he looked out at the busy city below. "Play the message again," he said quietly. His assistant, a young officer named Alan, tapped the screen on the desk. A fuzzy video appeared. It showed the director of Helios 9, her face tired and scared. "This is Director Kate Powell of Helios 9. We were attacked by an unknown alien force. They identified themselves as the Zeraxian hegemony. They took control of our station and captured several of our people. Most of the crew escaped in emergency pods. We have a list of missing personnel attached to this message. We need immediate assistance." The video ended. Admiral Harrison turned from the window. "Show me the list again." Alan handed him a tablet. The Admiral scrolled through the names, stopping at one. Harrison Amelia J., junior engineer, his daughter. His only daughter, who had wanted nothing to do with his military life. who had gone to the edge of human space to build things instead of plan for war like her father and brother. "Sir, we've confirmed the Zeraxians have her," Alan said. "Our intelligence picked up transmissions. They're planning some kind of public trial. They're calling her a spy." The Admiral's face showed no emotion, but his hand tightened on the tablet. "Have they identified who she is? Her connection to me?" "No, sir. It seems they don't know. They just took her because she was trying to protect the research lab." Admiral Harrison nodded slowly. "That gives us time, and an advantage." He walked to his desk and pressed a button. "Send in Captain Wells and get me a secure line to Alpha Station. I need to speak with my son." 20 minutes later, Captain Lisa Wells stood at attention in the Admiral's office. She was 40, with short blonde hair and sharp blue eyes. She had served under William Harrison for 15 years and was one of the few people he trusted completely. "You've heard about Helios 9? He asked. "Yes, sir, a terrible situation. It's worse than the public knows. My daughter Amelia was taken." Captain Wells's eyes widened slightly, but she kept her composure. "I see, sir. What are your orders?" The Admiral stood up. "The Zeraxians have made a terrible mistake. They don't know who they've taken, and they don't know what we're capable of." He walked to a wall panel and pressed his hand against it. The panel slid open, revealing a hidden screen. He entered a long code, and the screen lit up with the words, "Harrison Protocol, Authorization, Required." "Sir, are you activating the protocol?" Wells asked, her voice careful. The Harrison Protocol was something whispered about in high command, but few knew what it actually was. "They've given us no choice, Captain." He pressed his palm to the screen. "The Zeraxians believe humans are weak. They think we're just miners and traders who pose no real threat. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The screen flashed green. Harrison Protocol activated. Across human space, hidden systems came online. Secret military bases revealed themselves. Ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels suddenly changed configuration, weapon systems emerging from hidden compartments. On a small, icy moon in a distant system, Jack Harrison received the alert. He was the Admiral's son, commander of an elite special operations unit that officially didn't exist. He was younger than his sister, only 24, but already had a reputation for doing the impossible. He gathered his team. "We have a mission. The Zeraxians have taken my sister. We're going to get her back." His second in command, a woman named Olivia, looked surprised. "Your sister? I didn't know you had a sister." "My father kept our family connections quiet. For protection." Jack pulled up a map of Zeraxian space. "The Harrison Protocol has been activated. Every human ship and base is now on high alert. But our job is the most important. We need to infiltrate the Zeraxian flagship and extract Amelia before they realize who she is." Meanwhile, on the Zeraxian flagship, Amelia sat in her cell. They had moved her twice since her capture. Each new cell was bigger and less uncomfortable than the last. She didn't understand why, but she knew better than to ask questions. The door slid open and Commander Krell entered with 2 guards. "The High Inquisitor wishes to speak with you," he said. "Your trial will begin tomorrow." Amelia stood up straight. "I've told you I'm just an engineer. I don't know anything of value to you." "That is for the Inquisitor to decide." They led her through long, curved hallways. The ship was enormous, with hundreds of the reptilian aliens moving about. Some wore armor, others what looked like simple work clothes. They all stared at her as she passed. They entered a large room with a raised platform at one end. Standing on it was the tallest Zeraxian Amelia had seen yet. It wore elaborate robes, with glowing symbols, and its scales were almost white with age. "This is the human?" it asked, its translator making the voice sound almost musical. "Yes, High Inquisitor," Krell bowed. "Captured during the Helios 9 operation." The High Inquisitor, who Amelia would later learn was named Vexar, came closer to study her. "You are different from the others we have encountered," it said. "Most humans show more fear." Amelia said nothing. Her father had taught her long ago. When captured, say as little as possible. The trial will be broadcast throughout Zeraxian space, Vexar continued. Your species needs to understand that the hegemony will not tolerate your continued expansion. My species might see it differently, Amelia finally said, as an unprovoked attack on civilians. Vexar made a dismissive gesture. Semantics, the outcome is what matters. After tomorrow, humans will retreat from this sector. What none of them knew was that at that very moment, Captain Lisa Wells was boarding the TDF Valiant, humanity's first stealth dreadnought. The massive ship had been kept secret for years, hidden in an underground facility on Mars. Now it rose from its hiding place, its revolutionary cloaking technology hiding it from even the most advanced sensors. 3 stealth destroyers joined, it forming a small but incredibly powerful battle group. Their mission: head directly to the heart of Zeraxian space. And in a stealth shuttle approaching from a different direction, Jack Harrison and his team prepared their infiltration equipment. They had technology the Zeraxians had never seen, reverse-engineered from various alien species the humans had secretly encountered. The Zeraxians think they're making a statement, Jack told his team as they checked their gear. They have no idea they've just triggered the contingency we've been preparing for decades. Back on the flagship, Amelia was returned to her cell. A Zeraxian guard brought her food and water. Tomorrow you will speak before the High Inquisitor, the guard said. He will ask for your full name and planet of origin. This is required for the official record. Amelia nodded but said nothing. Her full name. That would change everything. The Zeraxians clearly didn't know who she was, or who her father was. The moment they heard the name Harrison, they would realize their mistake. She sat on the edge of her bed, wondering if her father even knew she had been taken. Wondering if Earth would do anything to help her. She had no way of knowing that 3 separate rescue operations were already underway, or that her capture had just triggered the biggest military mobilization in human history, all because the Galactic Empire had seized a human girl, not knowing the weight her last name carried across the stars. The day of the trial arrived. Amelia was given clean clothes that looked almost human in design. The guards treated her differently now. They were careful, almost respectful. She didn't understand the change, but it made her uneasy. 2 tall guards escorted her to the tribunal chamber. It was a vast room with curved walls that rose high above them. Hundreds of Zeraxians sat in tiered seats watching her. At the front was a platform where High Inquisitor Vexar waited, wearing ceremonial armor that gleamed under the lights. Amelia was led to a small platform in the center of the room. A force field shimmered around it, keeping her in place. The trial of the human prisoner will now begin, announced Vexar. His voice echoed through the chamber. This proceeding is being broadcast to all Zeraxian worlds as an example of what happens to those who defy the hegemony. Amelia stood straight and kept her face calm. She wondered if her father was watching somehow, if he knew where she was. What she didn't know was that her brother Jack and his team were already inside the Zeraxian flagship. They moved silently through maintenance tunnels and air ducts, using technology that made them invisible to Zeraxian sensors. They placed small devices at key points throughout the ship, quantum disruptors that could disable systems without damaging them. Meanwhile, Captain Wells and the stealth fleet had reached Zeraxian space. The TDF Valiant and its escort ships remained cloaked, their advanced technology hiding them completely from the Zeraxian defense network. "We're in position, Admiral," Wells reported through the secure channel. "Awaiting your command." Admiral Harrison watched from his command center on Earth. Screens showed the Zeraxian broadcasts they had intercepted. He could see his daughter standing alone, surrounded by aliens who thought they held all the power. "Hold position, Captain," he ordered. "Wait for the moment when they learn who she is." In the tribunal chamber, Vexar began reading the charges. The human female is accused of espionage, unauthorized technological development, and trespassing in hegemony space. These crimes carry the penalty of public display followed by memory extraction. A murmur went through the crowd. Amelia didn't know what memory extraction meant, but she could guess it wasn't good. "Before we proceed," Vexar continued, "the accused must state her full name and planet of origin for the record." This was the moment. Amelia took a deep breath. She could lie, but what would be the point? They would find out eventually. My name is Amelia Jane Harrison. I was born on Earth. The High Inquisitor nodded, not reacting to the name. He didn't know. Not yet. Your occupation? I am a junior engineer at the mining outpost Helios 9. And your purpose in developing advanced propulsion technology? It wasn't weapons technology. It was for more efficient mining operations. Vexar made a dismissive gesture. The hegemony has determined that all human technological development has military applications. Your presence in this sector is a threat to Zeraxian security. A younger Zeraxian approached the High Inquisitor and whispered something. Vexar paused, his reptilian features showing surprise. State your family connections, he suddenly demanded. Amelia hesitated. I don't see how that's relevant. Answer the question, Vexar insisted, his voice sharper now. My father is Admiral William Harrison of the Terran Defense Force. My brother is Commander Jack Harrison. The chamber erupted into chaos. Zeraxians rose from their seats, talking loudly. Vexar silenced them with a gesture, but Amelia could see the alarm in his eyes. One of the junior officers was frantically checking data on a screen. He approached Vexar and showed him something that made the High Inquisitor's scales pale visibly. The broadcast will pause temporarily, Vexar announced. The lights that had been recording the trial went dark. In the silence that followed, Amelia heard Vexar speak quietly to his officers. Verify this information immediately, if she is telling the truth. The records confirm it, said the junior officer. Harrison, the human who defeated our forces at the Battle of Proxima, the strategist who has blocked our expansion for 15 years. And we have taken his offspring, Vexar said, his voice now concerned. Across Zeraxian space, their military went on high alert. Ships that had been on routine patrol suddenly received emergency orders. Defense stations powered up their weapons. They expected an attack, a rescue attempt from angry humans. What they didn't expect was that the attack was already underway. In the control center of the flagship, alarms began to sound. Zeraxian officers rushed to their stations. Unknown energy signatures detected throughout the ship, reported one. Systems are failing. The quantum disruptors placed by Jack's team were activating, shutting down weapons, communications, and sensors one by one. Restore communications, ordered Commander Krell. We must contact the fleet. But it was too late. The stealth fleet had moved into position. As the Zeraxian flagship systems went dark, the TDF Valiant and 3 destroyers decloaked, surrounding the massive alien vessel. Their weapons were aimed at critical points. In the tribunal chamber, Amelia watched as the Zeraxians' confidence crumbled. Take the prisoner back to secure holding, Vexar ordered, and prepare for emergency communication with Earth. As guards led Amelia away, she noticed they were treating her with extreme care now, almost like she was made of glass. They knew who she was, and they were afraid. In her new quarters, no longer a cell but a luxurious room, Amelia found a data terminal. The Zeraxians had forgotten to lock it in their panic. Or perhaps they had left it on purpose, hoping to appear cooperative. She accessed the system and found files about her family. The Zeraxians had been watching the Harrisons for generations. They considered her father the most dangerous human alive. Not because he commanded the biggest fleet, but because he had outthought them at every turn. While she read, Jack and his team moved through the ship, disabling more systems. They were heading toward her location, guided by the tracking implant all Harrison family members carried under their skin. On the bridge of the TDF Valiant, Captain Wells opened a channel to the Zeraxian flagship. This is Captain Lisa Wells of the Terran Defense Force. Your ship is surrounded, your weapons are disabled, and your communications are cut off from the rest of your fleet. We have come for Amelia Harrison. Commander Krell, now in charge as the High Inquisitor, dealt with the crisis, received the message with growing dread. How did they find us? He asked his officers. How did they get past our defenses? No one had an answer. Back on Earth, Admiral Harrison watched the events unfold with grim satisfaction. The Harrison Protocol was working perfectly. Decades of preparation of hiding human capabilities had paid off. "Send the full message," he ordered his communications officer. Throughout Zeraxian space, on every screen and communication device, the same image appeared. Admiral William Harrison, calm and resolute in his uniform. "This is Admiral William Harrison of the Terran Defense Force," he said. "You have my daughter. Return her unharmed and we can resolve this incident peacefully. Refuse, and you will see what humans are truly capable of." The message was short, but the meaning was clear. The Zeraxians had made a terrible mistake and they knew it. Amelia sat in her new quarters on the Zeraxian flagship. The room was large and filled with what the aliens must have thought were human comforts. The bed was too long, the chair too wide, but it was better than the cell she had been in before. The door slid open. Commander Krell entered, followed by 2 guards who stayed by the door. His manner was completely different now. Gone was the arrogance, replaced by careful politeness. "There has been a misunderstanding," he said, his translator making his voice sound strained. "Had we known your family connections, proper diplomatic protocols would have been followed." Amelia looked at him coolly. "Funny how my name changes. Everything. I was still a human being before you knew who my father was." Krell shifted uncomfortably. "The situation is complex. The hegemony has concerns about human expansion in this sector. So you attacked a mining outpost and kidnapped civilians? That's not how diplomatic concerns are addressed." Before Krell could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A junior officer rushed into the room, his scales pale with stress. "Commander, unknown human vessels have appeared around us. Our weapon systems are failing, and there are reports of intruders on board." Krell turned quickly. "Secure all sections. How did they get past our defenses?" "We don't know, sir. They just appeared. And our sensors can't locate the intruders. It's like they're ghosts." Amelia tried not to smile. She knew exactly what was happening. The Harrison Protocol. Her father had often spoken of it in vague terms when she was growing up. A contingency plan, a way to protect humanity if the worst happened. Now she was seeing it in action. On the other side of the ship, Jack Harrison and his team moved silently through the corridors. They wore special suits that bent light around them, making them nearly invisible. They had disabled key systems throughout the ship and were now approaching Amelia's location. "Life signs show she's just ahead," whispered Olivia, checking her scanner. 2 guards at the door. Jack nodded. "Non-lethal takedown. We're not here to start a war." They moved into position. With quick, practiced movements, they used stun devices to disable the guards. The Zeraxians dropped without a sound. Inside the room, Krell was still receiving reports of systems failing throughout the ship when the lights flickered. "What now?" he demanded. The door slid open. The guards outside were gone. Instead, 4 humans in strange suits appeared as if from nowhere, their stealth technology deactivating. "Hello, sister," said Jack with a grin. "Sorry we're late." Amelia had never been so happy to see her brother. She stood up quickly. "Jack, how did you find me?" "Family tracker," he said, tapping his wrist. "Never leave home without it." Commander Krell backed away, his hand moving to his weapon. Jack's team raised their stun rifles. "I wouldn't," Jack said calmly. "Those weapon systems you're so proud of? We've been studying them for years. Your personal sidearm won't fire. We've blocked the energy signature." Krell tested this, pulling his weapon and trying to fire. Nothing happened. "Impossible," he whispered. "My brother has always been good with technology," Amelia said, moving to join Jack. "It runs in the family." Meanwhile, on the bridge of the TDF Valiant, Captain Wells was in communication with High Inquisitor Vexar. "Your ship is surrounded," she explained calmly. "Your weapons are disabled. Your communications with the rest of your fleet are cut off. You have 2 choices. Surrender, Amelia Harrison, and agree to talks, or face the consequences." Vexar, his confidence shattered, struggled to understand how humans had managed this. "How did your ships avoid detection? Our sensor network is the most advanced in the galaxy." "That's a discussion for another time," Wells replied. "Your answer, please." On Earth, Admiral Harrison watched the events unfold. Screens showed him views from inside the Zeraxian ship, from Jack's team, and from the bridge of the Valiant. Everything was proceeding according to plan. His assistant entered the room. "Sir, the President is on the line. He wants to know why. You activated the protocol without authorization." "Tell him I'll explain later," the Admiral said, not taking his eyes off the screens. Family emergency. Back on the Zeraxian flagship, Jack's team escorted Amelia and a very reluctant Commander Krell to the main hangar bay. Zeraxian crew members watched in shock as the humans moved through their ship unopposed. "How long has your father been planning this?" Amelia asked her brother as they walked. "Since before we were born," Jack replied. The Harrison Protocol was designed as a last resort if aliens ever threatened humanity directly. Dad always suspected the Zeraxians weren't being honest about their capabilities, so he made sure we knew more about them than they knew about us. They reached the hangar where a small human shuttle was waiting. Jack's team had boarded the flagship using it, their stealth technology hiding it from Zeraxian sensors. "We're taking Commander Krell with us," Jack explained. "He'll be our guest during the diplomatic talks." Krell looked deeply unhappy, but didn't resist. He had seen enough to know the humans had capabilities far beyond what the hegemony had believed possible. As they prepared to board the shuttle, Amelia paused. "Wait, there's something I need to do first." She turned to Krell. "Your people took me because you thought humans were weak. You thought we were just miners and traders with no real power. You were wrong about us. Remember that." Krell's scales flattened against his body, a sign of submission that Amelia recognized from the files she had read. "The hegemony will remember," he said quietly. They boarded the shuttle and left the hangar. Outside, Amelia saw the full situation for the first time. 4 human ships, sleek and powerful, surrounded the massive Zeraxian flagship. Their weapons were aimed at critical points that would disable, not destroy, the alien vessel. "The Valiant," Jack said, pointing to the largest ship. "Dad's been hiding it for years. Stealth technology, advanced weapons, quantum shielding. The Zeraxians never knew we had this capability." As their shuttle approached the Valiant, Amelia felt a mix of pride and concern. The Harrison Protocol had worked perfectly. The Zeraxians had been shown that humans were not to be taken lightly. But what would happen next? On the bridge of the Valiant, Captain Wells received the message she had been waiting for. "Extraction complete. Amelia Harrison is secure." She opened a channel to Admiral Harrison. "Sir, your daughter is safe. We have Commander Krell as a diplomatic guest, awaiting your orders." The Admiral's face showed relief for just a moment before returning to its usual stern expression. "Well done, Captain. Bring them home, and inform the Zeraxians that we expect their representatives to meet us at neutral coordinates in 3 days to discuss a new arrangement between our species." The Harrison Protocol had done more than rescue Amelia. It had changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. All because the Galactic Empire had seized a human girl, not realizing the weight her last name carried. 3 days later, the diplomatic meeting took place. The humans chose a small space station in neutral territory for the talks. It was an old trading post that had been upgraded with special security features for the occasion. Amelia stood by the window in the main conference room, looking out at the stars. She wore a simple blue uniform with no rank or insignia. Her father had asked her to attend the meeting. He said her presence was important. "Nervous?" asked Jack, coming to stand beside her. He wore his Special Forces uniform, though without the weapons he usually carried. "A little," Amelia admitted. "I never wanted to be part of something like this. I just wanted to build engines." "Sometimes we don't choose our moments in history," Jack said. "Sometimes they choose us." The door opened. Admiral William Harrison entered, followed by Captain Wells and several high-ranking Earth officials. The Admiral looked tired but determined. He came straight to his children and hugged Amelia tightly. "I'm sorry you had to go through that," he said quietly. "It's okay, Dad," she replied. "I understand now why you were always so careful. Why you made us hide who we were." Before they could say more, an announcement came over the speakers. Zeraxian delegation approaching. All personnel to positions. The Harrisons moved to the human side of the large round table. Admiral Harrison sat in the center with Amelia on his right and Jack on his left. Captain Wells and the other officials filled the remaining seats. The doors on the opposite side opened. High Inquisitor Vexar entered, followed by Commander Krell, who had been returned as a show of good faith, and several other Zeraxians. They moved to their side of the table, their manner much less confident than when Amelia had first seen them. "Welcome to Peace Station," Admiral Harrison said formally. "We are here to discuss a new understanding between our species." Vexar nodded, stiffly. "The hegemony is prepared to listen to human concerns." "Not concerns," the Admiral corrected. "Terms. You attacked a human outpost without provocation. You took my daughter prisoner. These are acts of war." The Zeraxians shifted uncomfortably. Vexar spoke carefully. "The hegemony believed humans were expanding too rapidly in this sector. We acted to protect our interests." "By attacking civilians?" Jack asked sharply. Vexar's scales flattened slightly. "We may have misjudged the situation." Admiral Harrison leaned forward. "You misjudged more than the situation. You misjudged humanity. For 15 years we've let you believe we were just miners and traders with limited military capacity. All while we built our real fleet in secret. All while we studied your technology and improved upon it." "The Harrison Protocol," Commander Krell said quietly. "Yes." The Admiral nodded. "A contingency plan in case any alien species threatened us directly. We've been watching the hegemony for a long time. We know how you've treated other species who were less prepared than we were." Captain Wells activated a display in the center of the table. It showed images of the human stealth fleet, much larger than the 4 ships that had rescued Amelia. Dozens of advanced vessels, hidden from Zeraxian sensors until now. "This is the real Terran Defense Force," the Admiral explained. "Not the small patrol ships we've let you see until now." The Zeraxians looked at the images with a mixture of shock and fear. Vexar turned to one of his advisors, who nodded grimly, confirming the information. "What are your terms?" Vexar asked, his voice subdued. Admiral Harrison outlined the new agreement. The Zeraxians would recognize all human colonies and territories. They would establish proper diplomatic channels. Most importantly, they would treat humans as equals, not as a lesser species to be controlled or contained. As the discussion continued, Amelia studied the aliens. She could see they were struggling to accept this new reality. Their entire view of humans had been wrong, and now they had to adjust quickly. During a brief break in the talks, Commander Krell approached Amelia cautiously. "I wish to apologize personally for your treatment," he said. "Had I known that I was an admiral's daughter," Amelia finished for him. "That shouldn't have mattered. No one should be treated the way your people treated the crew of Helios 9. Krell was silent for a moment. "Your point is valid. Perhaps there is much the hegemony needs to reconsider." The talks resumed. After hours of discussion, the two sides reached an agreement. The Zeraxians would withdraw from the disputed sector, formal diplomatic relations would be established, and most surprisingly to Amelia, there would be a cultural and technological exchange program. "We have much to learn from each other," Vexar admitted, looking directly at Amelia, "if we are to share this galaxy peacefully." When the meeting ended, Admiral Harrison signed the agreement on behalf of Earth. Vexar signed for the hegemony. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start. As the Zeraxian delegation prepared to leave, Vexar approached Amelia one last time. "You are different from what we expected humans to be," he said. "Stronger, more resilient." "We're full of surprises," Amelia replied with a small smile. Later, as the Harrison family prepared to return to Earth, Amelia stood again by the window, looking out at the stars. "What will you do now?" her father asked, joining her. "Will you go back to engineering?" Amelia thought for a moment. "Actually, I have an idea. This new exchange program with the Zeraxians, they'll need engineers who understand both human and alien technology. Someone who can build bridges, not weapons." The Admiral smiled. "They'd be lucky to have you." Besides, Amelia added, someone needs to make sure both sides keep their promises. Someone who knows what happens when the Zeraxians underestimate humans. Jack joined them, putting an arm around his sister's shoulders. The Harrison legacy continues, just in a different way. As they looked out at the stars together, Amelia thought about everything that had happened. She had been captured because she was human. She had been freed because she was a Harrison. But what she did next would be her own choice. In the years that followed, historians would mark this as the turning point when humanity took its place among the major powers of the galaxy. The Zeraxians spoke with new respect about humans, especially about the Harrison family, all because a galactic empire had seized a human girl, not realizing the weight her last name carried.